that you'll start seeing more repetitive feedback, more consistent feedback, more communications from us, whether it be video shots that are 2 or 3 minutes long, or town halls where we have a chance to come back and revisit some things we're hoping to do. But before we get started, I want to introduce Lindsay Welker to you. Lindsay, if you can identify yourself with maybe some symbol that you can raise your hand or wave. Lindsay, if you haven't met Lindsay, is our Team SA manager, and she's the one that's going to be really important for you guys to get to know over time because of the role that she's going to play with us. Now, she and I are going to tag team a lot of things this year, just because there's so many things we're doing with so many world championship events, and her list is 20 things long every week. And so really, I'm kind of stepping in and helping her where help is needed. But she really is going to be the person that's going to make all the engines roll down the road. Okay. So Lindsay, thank you for all your work. I really appreciate all you're doing to make this happen. Liz is also on the call. She's with our service team, and you may get an occasional email or two from Liz. You probably already know Liz. She has been working the Team SA inbox for quite a while now, and has done yeoman's work. I call it yeoman's work in a very favorable and positive way to really make certain the communication back to you guys has been consistent and has been forthright and has been insightful and probably even funny to some extent, if there's a funny thing for her to actually mention back to you. So Liz, certainly appreciate all the work that you've done. And so what we're trying to do is transition some of what Liz has been doing in service over to Lindsay and some of her team. We've got some interns that are working with us on things as well. What we're going to do is walk through several things. Number one, when we did that survey out to you guys, you came back to us with some really good questions. And the questions were things that we want to cover as part of this particular call. And so Lindsay was able to go back and categorize these into buckets. And these buckets we're going to cover as we go through this. Now, that shouldn't force you to want to ask questions and be reluctant to do what you want to do to get answers to things that you also want to learn about. But we will say that because this is a fairly long list, that if you can hold the questions as best you can until we get toward the back end of this, that will actually save us from answering questions that we've already answered, or to ignore your questions because they've already been answered as well. So anything else you want to mention, Lindsay, before we get started? All right. So the first thing is, yes, we still have an event. And I think it's important for you guys to know that in every conversation we have with the Bermuda LOC, it's very clear that this race is going to happen. Trepidation or any fear that the event was not going to happen, you can dismiss that from your vocabulary. You can dismiss that from conversations you're having with friends or on social media, because it is going to happen the 15th of October through the 17th of October. What we want to do is to kind of talk a little bit about an event schedule. And so this is essentially what it's going to look like. For many of you, you'll arrive at different points in the week, but what we're going to encourage you to do is to arrive on Wednesday if you can. If you've already made a reservation and you're arriving later, that's fine. But here's the reason why. Packet pickup starts on Tuesday. Now, granted, normally we are assigned a time to do pickup. We have not seen that time yet because we have not gotten the manual from them that team managers often get about what the expectations and timelines are going to be exactly. But that is going to be coming soon. On Wednesday, packet pickup continues. Thursday, things start happening. The athlete village will actually open. As of today, there's going to be an opening ceremony and a parade, and there'll be special functions and stuff they'll build around that. Again, that is subject to cancellation, and it's subject to cancellation based on where things are in the country relative to the pandemic. It's also going to be a time when our schedule starts getting a little crazier as far as course recons that we're going to be doing with all of you, where we're going to be swimming in the body of water. We're going to swim, and we're going to be doing runs over the run course. We'll be doing bike over the bike course. We're going to be doing some things, some really good strategic view of how the race can be done, because every second is going to count. With races that are as short as they are, we need to make sure you guys are prepared and have the ability to think through what the strategic view of this race is going to be for each of you based on your strengths and your skill set. Friday, it's going to be the Elite Juniors race. Saturday, October 16th, will be the Age Group Sprint Worlds. the open races, and the elite finals. Just know that this schedule has shifted. It was mixed relay first. They listened to the team managers through an online discussion that we had. They moved sprint worlds first. They moved mixed relay to the Sunday, October 17th, and then the closing ceremonies will happen later that night. We're going to have a team meeting, and the team meeting is going to occur as shortly after the team managers meeting as we can possibly arrange it to be on the schedule. We'll let you know what that is once we learn of when the team managers meeting is going to be. We talked about the swim runs and rides, and we're going to do these in smaller groups. One of the things I have to chuckle about, and it's not funny, but chuckle in the sense that when the USA team says we're going to have a recon ride, you guys show up. The problem is when we show up with 300 and 400 athletes. And we essentially shut a city down when we did that last year in Lausanne, where we had like 4 or 5 stoplights is what it took to get our athletes through. So we're going to break up these rides and runs into smaller groups and have each of those done at different points in time during the days leading up to the event. We're going to have a relay meeting that I'll mention in a little bit more detail once we have Lindsay, who's going to cover where we are with the relays as some things we know we're going to have to do. We're going to have our support staff in the host hotel. And our support staff is going to be the mechanics. It's going to be the massage therapists. It's going to be a chiro. We're going to have our medical team there. We're going to have a full service menu of support that we feel is critical for this to go as we need it to go, for you to feel like this is your Olympic Games, because this is what it is in our view, in our mind, is the Olympic Games, where you get the opportunity to be treated, wined and dined as best we can with support staff that are there to service you at the highest level. We're going to do some special presentations on various topics. It might be some stuff about air pressure in your tires, along with other things you can do with your bike as your own mechanic, or maybe a spouse or significant other is your mechanic, some things you can do around that. It will be a coaching thing we might do with Pat, who's going to be there as our lead coach, talking about certain things you can do around your training and your racing. So we're not going to have a lot of those, but we're going to have a few of those for people that maybe are just looking for an hour to spend listening to some topics that we want to cover. We're going to look for some opportunities for each of you to get together with your age group athletes, and perhaps in your own age group, perhaps in age groups that are contiguous to your age, so you get to know each other better. This is going to be based on the assumption that we can do so in a safe environment and under the realm of possibilities where we can make connections with enough people for that to actually happen. We're also going to do some other things with bike rental. We have one of our key providers, Tri-Bike Transport, is going to be there. It's supporting the event in different ways. If you want to rent a bike, maybe a significant other wants to rent a bike, we're going to allow for those people to do some rides and runs with us. So I wanted to mention that as part of this as well. And then Slack, I'm going to defer to Lindsay to speak a little bit about a new communication device that we're going to support as we move coast from coast to race day.
Thanks, Tim. So we're going to use an app that it's called Slack. It's essentially like text messaging. And so how this will work is once registration goes out, which that is scheduled to go out tomorrow to you all, and we get all the confirmed registration. So then once we have our set team for Bermuda, we will load those athletes' email into the Slack platform, and you guys will all get an email it'll come from Slack, but it will say it's a USA Triathlon Slack channel, and it'll be titled Team USA Bermuda. You will get an email to join the channel, and once you join the channel, it's free to join. You'll just put in your name and your email, and then you'll be encouraged to download the app onto your phone. You can access it on your laptop or just like via online, but the best way will be for you to have the app on your phone, because we're going to use this going forward to send out weekly, daily updates with any changes, any updates that we get from the race directors in Bermuda. We're also really going to use this while we're at Worlds, so we can send out constant updates, schedules, and whatnot to you all. So more information to come on this. Like I said, once we get our confirmed team roster, based on who pays the world registration fee, then we will we'll do all the work on our end to load you all into the system, and you'll get an email from the platform to join, and it'll walk you right through the steps. And then once you're joined, you'll just wait to get any information that we push out on there.
The great thing about Slack too, when it's on your phone or on your laptop or whatever you take with you, is that it actually will show you a number, right? If you've missed one, it'll show the number 1. If you've missed 2, it'll show the number 2. That way you always know that something has been sent and you can click on to it and you can open it up easily and see what it is that we perhaps sent out to you. The reason why we mention it here is that Slack is going to be so critical the week of the event. And so we need for all of you guys, if you have questions how to use it, we can do some brief overviews with you over the phone, or we can get together for another one-on-one with you, or we can do whatever we need to educate you on Slack. But Slack's going to be the lifesaver for us as we get to the last couple of days before the event. Also want to mention that there have been a lot of questions. We're going to shift gears from the schedule and do some other things. That the event organizers, it's bermuda.triathlon.org, has stuff that they haven't updated in a while, but it does have a map of training locations that you can pursue. There are things on there that they're going to be updating too, such as the actual course maps, which are not posted just yet, at least that I could find. The athlete guide, when we get that, will be posted on this site as well, and some other things that are key for you guys to review and to read as we get close to race day. Some people have asked us about insurance. I have insurance, but I understand that over the years, USA Triathlon supported a group called MedX. MedX is an insurance coverage that you need to get for overseas travel. Okay, it can be for you, it can be for your family members. You can tell others about it as well. It's through the USOPC. It's $3 a day, amazingly affordable. And really, what's great about it is that we've had people that have had accidents and situations occur overseas where they didn't want to necessarily hit their own insurance. And so they're able to apply what MedX is able to do. And it has transport, it has medical support in hospitals and other treatment centers, if necessary, during the race or outside the race. And so MedX is going to be something that we're going to share with you that you can register for as well. Will there be any activities such as Parade of Nations or any other Team USA events? We answered that before, but the Parade of Nations is an amazing event that we hope they have. And we're going to continue to encourage people to do it because it allows us to come together as a team, walk together through the streets of whatever country we're in, and to be part of something pretty amazing with the opening ceremonies. So we're going to continue to push that. How about course maps? Well, we've pushed hard for more course maps. We have asked for them to give us some topographical maps, for them to speak about any type of wind direction and some of those things. So hopefully we'll have that coming soon as well. When will you get a list of participants in the sprint race? We are bound to a deadline of early September for the submission of our roster. And as a result of that, we will have a full list of the Americans entered into the event, but also the other countries' athletes as well. So we will get a full country list as well as a list of other countries' athletes in that mid-September timeframe that will share the link with you so you can actually see who else is competing in the event. The next couple of questions I'm going to have Jeff Manson manage for us. Jeff, who you might know, has worked travel for Team USA for the last several years. He's been an unbelievable resource for us. He's done incredible work on site as well as in the prep phases of World Championship travel. And so, Jeff, I'm going to defer to you to handle the next couple of questions, which will relate to activities outside of racing and then some COVID travel restriction stuff that we need to cover.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate the kind words. So what I'll first go over with everyone is the COVID, obviously, restrictions, testing, and protocols that are in place for Bermuda, because they're quite there's quite a few. So wanted to kind of review that real quick and to go over the other questions that Tim had. So the first thing is COVID restrictions testing. So if you are unvaccinated, I think this is important to note, you would be required to quarantine in Bermuda for 14 days upon arrival. So I think it's very important that if you are planning to get vaccinated, that you do that quickly, so you can do that before the event. A lot of times it takes 5 to up to 6 weeks to become fully vaccinated, depending on what shot that you get. So wanted to let you know that if you are going to do that and not get vaccinated, you are required to pay for the 14 days at a government mandated hotel in Bermuda. So you would pay for all 14 days. So it would be quite the lengthy trip if you are unvaccinated. Now, for vaccinated travelers, I'll kind of quickly go through this, but a couple things. You will need to get a negative COVID test within 4 days of your departure for Bermuda. So that is important that you get that pre-arrival test. Also, before you depart, you will need to fill out a travel authorization form that the Bermuda government has on their website. And it's important that you do not fill this out before 3 days. So if you fill this out now, it would not be valid, because for a couple of reasons. One, you need to upload your proof of vaccination, and also you'll need to upload your negative test. The cost for that is $75. So you'll pay that when you fill out this form online. Myself, Tim, and Lindsay will make sure that everyone has this form or access to fill out this form before the event. So that's very important. If you arrive without filling out this form, you're subject to a $1,000 fine. So it's very important that you fill out and pay the $75 1 to 3 days before you depart. Once you arrive in Bermuda, assuming that you are vaccinated, you will be required to take a test, another COVID test, a second one, at the airport. So they'll have testing at the airport upon arrival. This could take a little time depending on how busy it is, so please make sure that you account for this when you arrive. There'll be signs and everything on where to go, but you will need to take a test upon arrival no matter if you are vaccinated or not. And then you are required to quarantine at your hotel until you get those results. So you'll likely get those results pretty quick. I've heard, within several hours, no more than 24 hours, but you should get those pretty quickly. So that's the first thing you'll need to do when you arrive. The next thing is, if you are there on day 4, you are also required to take another test. There are several locations that you can do this. Team USA and myself will post some information. If you are staying at the Hamilton Princess, you can get tested there for free, only for folks that are staying at that hotel. If you are staying outside of that hotel, there's other locations, the main location being a post office that is about a half mile from the venue or Hamilton Princess. That'll be your nearest location. And again, we'll make sure you have all this information. It's important to remember too that you'll need to get a test, and you could use this day 4 test upon your return to the US, because you have to show the airlines a negative COVID test before you return to the States. So for some of you, depending on what time you arrive, you may need to get this test on day 3 on Saturday. So just keep that in mind, because it may take up to 24 hours to get that test. So it's really important that you schedule that or make plans for that before your departure flight, and you're not, scurrying last second to get that negative test to return to the US. For children under 18 that aren't vaccinated, I'm sure some of you guys are bringing some children. It's a little bit different. So you do not have to quarantine if you are under 18, even if you are unvaccinated. There are some kind of restrictions around that, on what you can do around the island. Mainly, you can't dine indoors before day 4 if you're a child, besides the hotel. So there are a couple things, and I'll post a little flyer here shortly, but you can go as a child under 18, unvaccinated, but you do have to do the test, the same testing that a vaccinated traveler will do. So you have to do your pre-arrival test, your arrival at the airport, and day 4. So you do still have to do the testing, but you don't have to quarantine if you're under 18. So that's important to note. I think those are the main things. And again, I want to emphasize too, these are the current restrictions for Bermuda and testing protocols. These are obviously subject to change. For example, you were required to get tested again on day 8. If you were still there, that's changed to day 10. So we'll keep an eye on any changes that happen between now and the event, but I don't suspect that there'll be a ton of changes around this between now and the event. Again, once you pass all these protocols, you are free to do what you want around the island, assuming that you have negative tests and are vaccinated. So there really isn't many restrictions once you do these things. So you're free to, you know, see the sights, travel around the island and do things. If you were staying before, I mean, if you were going afterwards to do any activities. I think that's the main thing. Tim, did you have, the question about tours? So we are going to do a cave tour for anyone that's interested on Friday. I will post that information on here for anyone interested. It's about a 3 or 4 hour cave tour at one of the cool sites. So if you're interested, that'll be Friday afternoon. We're still obviously waiting for the schedule of events to come out, so that might be adjusted a little bit, but I'll send that information and cost and everything to everyone if anyone's interested in that.
Jeff, I've got multiple communication platforms going on in my office right now. I'm being
Sure.
Facebook messaged from someone who's on the phone and can't ask this question. So Scott Kroner just wanted to have me outline this information for those people who have not had the vaccine. They're coming up against some deadlines because of the time that you have to take between each vaccine. I think you touched on it, but he wanted to make sure that I reinforce that. So if you haven't been vaccinated, you need to get vaccinated like today. The amount of time you have to wait between vaccines to be able to make Bermuda. And Scott, I hope I did justice to your Facebook questions that are coming at me fast and furious. But so I just, again, he just made that point.
That's correct. Especially if you're getting the Pfizer or Moderna, yeah, you would need to get that, ASAP. The Johnson & Johnson obviously gives you a little more time. That's only a one-shot vaccine, so you could potentially wait a little bit longer for that. Tim, you're on mute. There you go.
14-day clearance with the J&J before any airline will allow you to fly if vaccination is required, and Bermuda certainly require a 14-day time gap as well. So be aware of that. Jeff, you're right. You have a little bit of time, but I would get that done as soon as you possibly could to avoid any type of issue that could arise. My wife ran into this going to Olympic trials for track and field. She had to get it done by 5 p.m. that day in order for her to be able to sit in the stands with me at the Olympic trials, which she was able to do, but it was too close. I don't want you to be put in that position because it's not very fun.
Yeah, I want to ask, there's a couple questions here. So $75 is for everyone traveling to Bermuda, no matter if you're staying at the Hamilton Princess or not. So you must pay the $75 when you fill out that travel authorization form between day 1 and 3. That's for every single person going to Bermuda. Someone asked if you test positive anytime, you're going to be required to quarantine for 14 days at your own expense. So I think it's important to note that too. If you taste positive upon arrival on day 4, then you will need to quarantine 14 days at your own expense.
So Jeff, can you see?
And then returning to the US real quick, someone asked how close. So you got to get your test within 3 days of your departure back to the US. So if you're departing on Monday, the 18th, you would need to get that test within 3 days of your departure. So, I guess Friday potentially could be the earliest you get that test.
One of the things that is really, really smart for you guys to do is to book your appointment at the testing location too. Most of them will allow you to book that time, but just know the most popular times are going to be taken quickly. And so there's with likelihood, if you wait and wait and wait for the rest of the world to be ahead of you, as far as them also wanting to get back home, you may find that you have a 11:30 at night test that you have to do, or a 4 a.m. test you have to do at odd locations. And so be aware of that as well.
Correct. Yeah, so again, the test, the $75 that you are paying covers all your testing on the island. Obviously it's free testing, but it covers all your testing. So you won't have to pay for any more testing.
I also want to mention that this all sounds really complicated and complex. And for some people, like, it's not worth it. I'm just not going to do it. Please don't go down that pathway. We will be here to answer whatever questions you have around this. We will even work with you. If you say, I'm arriving this day, I'm departing this day, tell me what I need to do. Tell me where I need to go. We're happy to make that happen. We have posted some links in this chat room box area that you can see to the right, but we're certainly happy to get this posted on the website, get it out to you in releases that we do to you going forward, so you can move on this and we'll be the reminder for you guys to not sit on this. So don't overcomplicate this. It's not very complicated. It's just doing what you need to do based on your own schedule. Okay.
Hey, Tim, before we move on, Jeff, can you clarify? Someone said that they thought that Bermuda would actually assign you a time to test. Is that accurate, or do the athletes go and schedule their own test?
Yeah, so I think if you're going when you get your test at the airport, it's potential that they will assign your next test for you, unless you're gonna plan on having that test at the Hamilton Princess. So that I believe we'll clarify that, but I believe they will schedule that for you.
Okay. The next topic we want to touch on is a subject, an area that we know there's a lot of excitement, but there's also some stress because it's the mixed relay. This is probably the single most complex prep that I've done since 1989 on getting athletes to a start line, right? From putting the relays together to the complexity of what events are going to qualify for the relay, making certain that we don't have drop off and all the prep we're going to do around assuring that the relay that has been paid or will soon be paid for by each of you is a race you can ultimately do. So to touch on some of the nitty gritty details will be Lindsay, who has spent a lot of time in this particular area.
Thanks, Tim. So first off, I'm going to explain how we got to the mixed relay teams. So 2 events qualified athletes for the mixed relay. The first event was 2019 age group national championships. The top 30 athletes were in each 10-year age group, I should state. So for mixed relay, it's 10-year age groups, not 5-year age groups. So at 2019 age group nationals, the top 30 in each 10-year age group were awarded a spot. Well, we did top 12 and then we rolled down to 30th place. All those athletes were notified. We did the roll downs. We exhausted that. The next qualifier was the Richmond event this past spring. We took the top 8 from each 10-year age group per gender at Richmond. All of those athletes were notified and spots were claimed. So from those 2 qualifiers and based on the athletes that claimed a spot, we then looked at those list of athletes and formed teams based on how the athletes finished. So for example, if an athlete was 5th at age group nationals 2019, and they were the highest finishing place based off the athletes that confirmed spots, they got placed on team 1. And there's 2 females and 2 males on each relay team. So that's how we form the teams based on those 2 events, age group nationals first, Richmond second, and then based on your finish at age group nationals and your finish at Richmond. So the teams are formed and we will get those published onto our Team USA website along with the Team USA Facebook page. However, there are still some spots that need to be filled based on we have more females or more males in certain age groups. So what we're going to do, if you are going to Bermuda and you're not currently on a relay team and you're planning to race in this open or the sprint race, and you would like to potentially race the mixed relay, I'm going to drop my email and in the chat momentarily, and it's going to be a first come, first serve basis that we are going to award the final spots that need to be filled. So if you're interested in mixed relay and you don't already have a spot, I need you to email me. I need your first and last name, your birth date, and your race age as of December 31st of this year. And then based on the timestamp from when I receive these emails will be the order of priority. And it will also be based on however many spots are needed in a certain age group. However, if we do get, or once we get all the spots filled for all the relay teams, we still need to have people that are interested that are going to be in Bermuda in case an athlete gets injured in the open sprint race. And, we need to then fill their spot on the mixed relay for the next day. So we need to have people ready to go and that are interested in doing the mixed relay that we can call upon, and we can rely on you guys to step up and compete in the mixed relay if needed. So like I said, express your interest to me via email if you'd like to be part of the mixed relay and you're not already. And then one more thing along those lines, once we get the list posted, and those will be posted by tomorrow, and once you check out the teams, if you're on a team and you are not planning on going anymore, we need to know that so that we can remove you from your mixed relay team and we can put someone else in those place. It's really critical that we get all the teams filled so that we don't have a team of only 3 athletes, and then those athletes aren't able to compete because they don't have a 4th athlete. So like I said, we're going to get the teams posted. If you're interested in competing on the mixed relay and you don't already have a spot, shoot me an email. The final date to claim a relay spot will be this Sunday night at midnight. That'll be the last time, the last emails that I look at for the mixed relay. Did I
Real
touch
quick,
on, Tim?
Yeah, that was Lindsay. That was great. Appreciate you doing. There was a lot of detail there, and luckily this is being recorded, so people can come back and listen to that again if they need to. The other thing we want to mention is that it is so critical that if you paid for the opportunity, which you'll do soon, to compete in a mixed relay, that we, to the final hour, provide you the opportunity to still have that race occur. Okay, that race happen. So what we'll be doing probably on the Friday of race week is calling everybody together who's going to be in a relay into a meeting place, a meeting location. And we're going to put you with your relay team members, and we're going to have Pat, our coach, speak to some strategies and some things to think about. Now, here's the catch, that this is not a standard mixed relay like you've seen on television, whether it be the Olympic Games or you've heard about or studied through video online that you've were accustomed to seeing. What will happen because of COVID is each of you are going to do that super sprint distance side by side with other people. We will then sum the times for the 4 athletes on your relay to come up with the actual finish position for the relays based on 10-year age divisions, okay? It is not a handoff. It's not a slap of the hand. It's not that standard mixed relay handoff that you would accustomed to doing or that you've seen on video. Just be clear on that. But what we want to be assured is that when we are meeting on that Friday, more than likely, is that everybody is there. We have a chance to assure that you are racing as is, because we cannot make any replacements on the relay on that Friday, okay? Unless there is a situation that arises where you have an injury or a severe sickness or illness that prevents you from doing so. And the numbers even then will be very, very limited by World Triathlon for replacing athletes. So number one, as Lindsay said, if you're not going or you're canceling within a week or whatever, we need to know that, because we need to be able to make the adjustment and get the reserve people in place. Okay, everybody good on that? And then we'll make it a fun event, a fun activity, because that's what it's meant to be, and it will be such. And you guys, I think, will enjoy getting to know other people too on that Friday meeting where we bring everyone together. The other thing that we want to make sure that you know too is that the reserves are only going to be those individuals that are in the sprint distance event. And the reason why that works is that you're already pre-registered. We cannot add any registrations for the mixed relay inside of that 30-day window, okay? So what it's September 3rd, so it's a little bit more than 30 days. So we can't add a significant other or someone else who might be there with you to that relay as a reserve athlete, okay? But we're doing this to assure that every relay member has a chance to commit to what they did through obviously qualifying and or being open about being a reserve athlete to fill a slot that's needed. Everybody good with that? All right. Great job on that, Lindsay. Thank you for covering it in such detail. Just know too, I think one of the comments on the survey was, are all the races draft legal? They are. So whether it be the sprint race or the mixed relay, they're all draft legal. And so you need to make sure that you bring your right frame There are no TT frames that'll be allowed in the race. Okay, so you need to bring your road frame. If you have your little clip-on bars, you may bring them, but they must be behind the end of your brake calipers. And one way you can do to measure to make sure that they are short enough is to put a 2x4 on the front of your brake calipers. If you are touching or pushing the clip-on bars up, that will not be allowed. So you have to make sure your stubbies, as they call them, are shorter than the diameter of that board as it fits in front of your bike brake calipers, just so you know that. Okay. Registration. We're going to be making that very, very clear to everyone. Again, payment's going to be made, and we're going to submit your information to World Triathlon on September 3rd. There are no refunds of entry fees that will be allowed, and the deposits obviously are non-refundable. The good thing, though, is that up to that point, if you do back out, the registration fee will be refundable, okay? But once we get inside that window, that cannot happen. So we apologize for that. Let's talk about rollovers. You know, one of the things that we've gotten pretty adept at, and that is being as fair as we can be around what it means for athletes who have paid the deposit, have committed to being on the team to Bermuda, but something arises, whether it be COVID concerns, injury, illness, sickness, work, or whatever. And so we have not made a commitment that there will be a deferral to 2022, but we are leaning that direction. So at some priority on the list of things that we're supporting, we may allow for those people that compete in Bermuda to be a last consideration or a second to last consideration for a spot in 2022 in Montreal. And those that aren't able to make the commitment to Bermuda, but pay the deposit, so are on the current roster, to be part of a priority level as well, a tiered level for participation. We have not made a commitment on this yet, and we won't until we have a good feel for what the demand is going to be with some of the slots that we have for Milwaukee and other races. Again, this is for Montreal 2022. As you know, Milwaukee had slots per age group. Tempe Draft Legal Nationals is going to have slots per age for 2022 as well. And so we're going to have some process and procedures and some priorities we're going to establish for 2022 qualification. And we'll let you guys know as soon as we possibly can what it looks like for these other priorities that we just talked about. How do I qualify for Montreal 2022 mixed relay? Well, all relay spots are going to be secured through the Draft Legal Nationals in Tempe. And so we know that registration is supposed to open this week for that event, which is going to be in November. We got that word from Craig Hankin, the race director. As soon as we get word that registration is open, we're going to reach back to athletes. We're going to post it on Facebook pages, and there are several of them that we'll post on. We'll also post that on our website as well. Okay. Everybody good with that? Team uniforms, and I'll lean on Lindsay a little bit for this, but one of the questions we get about the Team USA suits is it's taking a long time to get the order processed, that they said that they may be out of my size. One of the things that you should do if you're in that situation is to go back to the provider and say, can you please look at what you have for previous inventory prior to this year's team kit? Because there are some kits that are going to be anything with Roca you can wear, okay? So that could be from 2017, it could be from 18, 19, however far back. I can't remember how far back Roca went for us as a provider, but you can certainly ask the question if there's any way you could get a kit from a previous year, okay? That's
Tim, I have a little bit more information.
okay. Lindsay, I'm going to defer to you then.
Yeah, so I know there's been some frustration with from athletes with Roca not reaching out to the athletes in time. So I actually have an email address that if you don't have a Roca suit yet, I'm gonna I'll put that in the chat when I'm done speaking, and you can actually email Roca directly and tell them that you need a suit, and tell them, you know, that you're racing for Bermuda, so they know, you know, what the timeline is there, and they will get you a suit. I know they're out of a lot of sizes for the 2021 suit, but like Tim mentioned, Roca is aware that they are allowed to sell past years. So if they say they're out of your size, for this year, they'll have a size for you from a past, have given us that confirmation that amongst all this years and suits that they have, like they do have they do have suits in every size. So like I said, I'll drop that in the chat. Please reach out to them directly if you do need a tri-suit. And then one other piece with clothing is the parade kit. I know there's also been some frustration with sizing, like sizes and the tech tees being out of stock. If you don't have a parade kit yet, I'm going to also put that in the chat, that link and passcode. And like I said, they are out of the 2021 tech tees in most sizes, but the USAT store does have tech tees from past years that they will give out. So, originally we thought, we're doing all 2021 gear, but unfortunately, there's just not enough stock. So our vendors are aware that they can give out pieces from 2019, 2018, whatever the year may be. And we have got confirmation that there is stock in every sizes for the parade kit and the tech tees and the tri-suits. So you should be all set there. Hopefully that clears some things up. Like I said, I'm going to drop all that information in the chat and it will have the links and the email address and whatnot.
Thanks, Lindsay. Very important information. Here's the one thing that you do not want to do. Trust me, is you do not want to wear anything that is not ROCA for the event. Because when you do bike check-in, you're required to have your uniform on you and to show the people doing the check that you have the right uniform for access. Now, some will argue that, well, I've worn Adidas before and I've never been caught. And I'll just tell you right now that if you think you can get through the system, this is going to be the one time when you probably won't. And then you're going to be turned away and you're going to have to figure out, what do you do now? Because we will not have extra ROCA uniforms with us. And so that can happen. It can happen just like when you check in your bike at the airport. Sometimes they charge you, sometimes they don't. This is a situation where sometimes you get lucky and you get through the check-in system. Sometimes you don't. Don't leave it to chance. Make sure you have your ROCA uniform. Let's move on to bikes. The question posed by someone with the survey was bike storage options after the race in case we want to tour other parts of the island or whatnot without having to worry about your bike. The one thing you can do is certainly check with your host hotel, see if they have space. Sometimes there are public lockers at airports, and sometimes there are public lockers in the community as well. And so perhaps Hamilton may be able to help you with that. Whether it be help with bike transportation, we talked about Tri Bike Transport. They're already dialed in and there to help you. And there's also a question about when will bike check-in be in Bermuda? Typically it's the day before the event. And that's where we'll talk about this in the race briefings as to what you need to bring, which is typically a helmet on your head with the chin strap buckled. It's your kit on your body, and then it's your bike ready to race with race wheels and everything else on it. We'll go through that detail as we get closer to race day. All right, everybody good with that? Will you be sending a similar survey to the ICE2 Sprint duathlon race in Spain, which is coming up the first week in November? Yes, we absolutely will, in case you're actually doing that race as well. Any updates on the rescheduled off-road tri being rescheduled? Extremadura in Spain, the final weekend of October, in case you're also doing off-road. Okay. Liz, I'll defer to you for this one, but the person's question was, I received an email with my new username for your membership hub, but I can't access the site to activate my account, and I not received an email inviting me to do so. What do I do?
They should email service@usatriathlon.org, and we will get their password reset for them. Likely what has happened is they have not been able, because they didn't get the email, they were not able to claim their account. We can claim it for them, reset their password, reset their username, and they'll be good to go. It's a really fast, and we're getting to our emails very quickly.
Thanks, Liz. Person asked a question about training plans and whether the training plans will be posted. And Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's being posted today. Is that correct?
The training plans were sent out via email this morning at 9 a.m. And they are also posted on the Team USA Facebook page, which I already dropped the Facebook page link in the chat. So if you didn't get the email for some reason, please go to the Facebook page and you can download those training plans.
Okay.
Tim, can I say a word about folks who are telling us that they're not receiving our emails?
Yeah, you bet. For sure.
So we've talked to the marketing, a number of you have sent us emails saying, we're not getting your emails. And so we talked to our marketing department, and what we have found is that at some point in your communication with USA Triathlon, you have unsubscribed, which means that you may have gotten a sponsor email and you didn't want to see ads anymore and you unsubscribe there. You can go into your email provider, whether it be Hotmail, Yahoo, Gmail, whatever. You can update your subscriptions and you can put usatriathlon.org on your safe sender list. Once you do that, you should be able to get your emails back. Now, we are going to have a form that we're going to be posting in the Facebook group because you guys will not get it emailed. Where you can go in and you can fill out this form and say, yes, please subscribe me. You give us permission to resubscribe you in our system, and we can take care of that for you as well. Marketing is putting that together, and I think it should be ready the early part of next week. So keep an eye.
Liz, I just dropped that in the chat.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
So that's, if you think you've unsubscribed or you're not receiving emails, click on that SurveyMonkey link and fill that out, and we'll get you back on our list.
Okay, one of the questions, I want to make this very, very clear, that people are asking about what is the exact schedule, because I've seen different things.
Yeah.
Looking at the website right now, Saturday, October 16th, age group sprint world championship. Sunday, age group mixed team relay, the 17th. So I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Judy, I think you have Friday and Sunday. It is Saturday, Sunday, sprint, day 1, mixed relay, day 2. Okay, everybody clear on that? You want to, should we tackle a few other questions to the right? Because I think there are some there that that are worthy of being answered as part of this call. We've got just about 10 minutes left before we need to finish and conclude the call. And what the other thing that we'll do too, Lindsay and team will work through this, is to assure that we have all the questions that are on the right be positioned so that they're answered at some point in time on the website as an FAQ or whatever else we might have. So we don't want any question that's being posed to go unanswered. So Lindsay, have you had a chance to take a peek at a few of them?
Yeah, someone asked, can they wear Roka short sleeve suits or does it have to be sleeveless?
This is a situation by which the uniform that goes over the shoulder is not allowed for this particular distance. If by chance you purchased that particular Roka uniform kit, you need to let us know, and we're going to go back to World Triathlon and see if we can get an exemption for this particular race. So that's the only one that you would not be able to wear. That is one that's purchased on the site.
A couple questions were asked about 2019 age group nationals and draft legal being used as awarding spots, and that was used. So if you didn't get an email, I think it was the same person that wrote in twice. Email me directly and we can make sure that we get you on it. Someone asked Tim if you can restate the bike rental company, but that's Tri-Bike Transport.
Tri-Bike Transport. And when you go to the Bermuda website for Worlds, when you go to the transportation link, it'll actually show you Tri-Bike Transport's contact info. We also have that. They're a partner of USA Triathlons, and we can get it to you as well. I'll tell you right now, they are the way to go, not because they're a partner, because Tri-Bike Transport, that has supported our efforts at World Championships for many years, it is the cleanest way to get your bike overseas. Not only do they put it up when it arrives, they tear it down when you depart, which means you don't have to worry about it at any point in time. What can happen with the airlines? We all know what the airlines, they don't care what happens to bike cases. They toss them, from the plane for what it's worth, because they hate handling them. Not that I'm going to begrudge, the people that do a great job of handling your bike, but there are some that really don't. And so your bike can show up, and it happens every year. There's one person, I hope nobody on this call, no one from the US, has a situation happen where their bike is dismantled because it was dropped off, fell off a cart or whatever. So tri-bike transport is certainly the way to go. UPS, FedEx is a pretty safe way as well, but their costs have also gone through the roof on transportation of bikes overseas. So that's certainly the way to go.
Thanks, Tim. A couple questions about the race being wetsuit legal. I don't think we'll know that yet till we know water temp, right?
Yeah, but more than likely it will not be wetsuit legal. You're correct, Lindsay. The absolute reading will be done usually 30 days out. And they'll have information they provide to us in the athlete guide that would add that. But I would say with pretty solid certainty, it will not be a wetsuit swim.
Great. Questions about registration fee. And they thought they already paid that. So what you've already paid is the Team USA spot claiming fee. What you still have to pay is the World Triathlon registration fee, and that money goes right to World Triathlon. USAT does not get that money. That goes right to them. And yes, you will have to, it's two separate fees for mixed relay and for the individual sprint race. The sprint race per athlete will be $100, and sorry if I misspoke, the relay per athlete will be $100, and the sprint age group race is $325. And again, USA Triathlon does not set those fees. Those come directly from World Triathlon. And no, you have not received that link yet. Those will be sent out in the morning.
And just so you know, too, if you feel you paid it, you may have paid for the open race, which is also happening as part of this event. All registrations done through us, and then we're invoiced by World Tri, and we pay through a wire for all the entry fees that have come through. That is why there are no refunds after we make that payment, we hit that deadline, because the money is no longer with us, it's now with World Tri, and that's their policy. So just so you guys know.
Tim, another question. Do we have any idea of what other countries will be sending teams to Bermuda?
We don't, but I did see on the the chat room where we have Great Britain that's been given permission to send their team. Great Britain will have a team of about 500, 600. Australia more than likely will not be there. New Zealand will more than likely not be there. Canada probably end up having 150 to 200. Mexico will take a team of 200 to 300. So you're going to look at a pretty good sized field, right? In total, we're probably looking at 3,000 athletes on the sprint side, and on the relay side, I think it'll be competitive. I don't know how many on the relay side because it's such a tough thing for people to organize and coordinate, as I noted. But we still expect a lot of people to still do that and have it be very, very competitive for us. We're going to take all the medals anyway, so it doesn't really matter who shows up, but we'll be prepared.
Someone asked how many athletes will be on Team USA. So we have about 490 athletes that have claimed a spot. That does not mean everyone will pay the registration fee. So we won't know the full roster until the registration fee deadline, which that deadline will be Sunday at midnight. Just putting that out there, that will be in the email that you receive in the morning. And that will be a hard deadline because we then have to turn around and get all of you guys entered into the World Triathlon system. And we have a deadline from them that we have to meet. So that will be a hard deadline. If you miss that, there's really nothing else we can do.
So make sure you guys look at your inbox and are on top of that send that's going to happen. Jonathan asked a question about aero helmets. They are not allowed in draft legal, so no aero helmets. The other thing that we'll do too is provide you some other rules like that speak to draft legal. And that's important, like disc wheels are typically not allowed in draft legal races. So be aware of that situation, other things like that we'll talk about. Sharon, I think you posed a question about speed suits. Well, here's the thing, you've got to wear USA Triathlon Roka gear, right? So if you have a speed suit and you wear it underneath your Roka gear, more than likely that will be just fine. But again, the outside has to be most visible. So that'll be pretty key. Okay. Jeff Manson, I think you're still on the call. There was a question about the special Hamilton Princess room rate. I promise you, Jeff has the best deal in the entire world. Jeff?
So the rate that we have right now is for a double occupancy is $460, I believe. Triple occupancy and quad occupancy is $555. So again, we have a few rooms available.
Someone asked about bike rentals. Tri Bike Transport will actually do bike rentals, but you have to secure that with them, through them, before you depart. And then they'll have that bike that you can then pick up and you can use, and you return it just like your standard bike that you own yourselves.
Someone asked where or when will we make a decision about the rollovers to Montreal?
Well, you know, I hate people that are waiting, because if it's part of the decision they're making about going to Bermuda or not, then that obviously has impact. I think that you and I can get together and we can determine that in the next couple of weeks, as we look at what the numbers are going to be and where we're going to position ourselves as a team. Now, here's the thing, though. I promise you, it will have to be below the qualification system we have in place currently. It cannot usurp or be positioned higher than those priorities for athletes that are trying to qualify for Montreal 2022. So what is the chance of that happening? Probably not as great as it might be for other disciplines, just because there's such incredible demand for what we're doing with these particular two races.
Yeah, I can piggyback off that, Tim. There were so many athletes that raced in Milwaukee, and a lot that also indicated they were going to Tempe. So, and sprint is a really popular distance. So I wouldn't bank on there being spots available. Many, if any. So.
Someone just said Tri Bike Transport has run out of bikes. So if they have indeed run out of bikes, one of the things I would do quickly is I would make a call to the chamber or whomever else, or Google any bike shops that you might be able to approach. I would do that like within the 24-hour period that we have between now and the end of this week to get that secured, since they do not have any more bikes they can take with them.
Another question was asked if there's a firm date of when we'll know if we're going or if it's being canceled. It's a go. Tim already mentioned that, but the event is happening. No doubts, right, Tim?
That is correct. Yeah, there is with little likelihood that we're going to see a cancellation of this particular event. So please know that that's the good news is that it'll allow you to prep for the races if you're indeed going.
Thanks, Tim. It looks like we're about at our 5 o'clock mark.
Okay. So what we'll do, you guys, is we'll go back into the chat and we'll make sure we can pull those out of the room, and we'll have answers to those that will make sure we get to all you guys. If you still want to add a couple more questions, please do so in the next 60 seconds or so, because as soon as we end the call, it'll actually pull you out of this particular Zoom room, just so you guys know. I want to thank you guys for being part of the call. We had 160 people, I think, at the highest point. It shows with great interest. You guys are incredibly interested in what it is that we have to say about the event. There are going to be more of these. We're going to have follow-up Zoom calls, and we'll have more information that's going to be posted. We'll have details around Slack and how we're going to do that. We're going to have information posted about relays. So please make certain you keep in contact with us if you see something that is missing from our communication channels, and we'll be certain to post it so you guys can see it. All I can say is this is an incredible opportunity. Please give it the strongest effort you have, in whether you go or not, because Bermuda is an amazing country. We're going to have an incredible time. It's going to be a life-changing situation for many of you, and what you're going to be able to do in the first mixed relay ever, if you've ever earned that right to be part of that team. And we'll be there to support you every step of the way. So again, thank you guys for being here. Any final comments
Yeah,
Liz,
Tim, there's this question that keeps on like popping up, and I think you should answer it before you say goodbye. And
Yep.
that is, never answered the question about Tempe being excluded from the mixed relay decisions.
So it was not included in this year's for 2021 Bermuda decision. It will be going forward for 2022 Montreal. Tempe this November will be where the mixed relay teams are formed.
and this will be, the race date will be that Saturday, November 13th, in case you're looking for what the date's going to be for that particular race. We had 400 people last year that did it. I bet you 350 of them said it was the most amazing race course they've done for Draft League in a long, long time. So if you're wanting to do another event, get another ranking, earn the opportunity to be part of another national championship, earn the right to go to Worlds, Tempe's the place you're going to want to be in November.
Yeah, and one final thing, Tim, more questions are coming in about registration. The registration link will be sent out tomorrow via email, and you will get a specific code to you to use to go in to register. So again, those will be sent out tomorrow. That won't be posted anywhere. Those will be sent out. The mixed relay team list will be posted on the Team USA Facebook page and the Team USA website. All of that will happen tomorrow.
And Tempe registration, just so you know, we talked to Craig Hankin. He's working as hard as he can to get that open this week. But as soon as it does open, we'll create a communication back to you with that link so you guys can get registered for that race as well. You know what? Go Team USA. We hope to see all you guys in Bermuda in a couple of months. Again, stay in contact and sleep well, stay safe. See you guys.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, everyone.